collapse of the Nazis. The Nazis were at one point in the war positioned to win, flat out they were. But Hitler's was a terrible commander, and he decided to fight a war on two fronts, which was pretty much led to the demise of the Nazis. The failed invasion of the Soviet Union was a terrible idea. Eventually, I mean, at the beginning of it, they were winning, but once winter came, they were not able to properly fight because the Soviets were so adapted to that climate, and the Germans just were not. So eventually, because of this, they collapsed on that front, and then eventually were overwhelmed and taken over by the Allies from both sides, from the Western Front and the Eastern Front. And because of this, the Nazi power structure eventually did collapse. And this was due to the Hitler suicide. And Hitler committed suicide because he knew that he didn't want to know what would happen if the Soviets captured him, because if they captured him, he would have been tortured and ridiculed, and he thought that, he had a good run and he could not bear the embarrassment of being captured by the Soviet Union. And after he committed suicide, Joseph Goebbels was the leader of the German party for one day, very long time, I know, and he also committed suicide. But this was just the beginning of the issues for the Nazis, because people did not really completely understand the level of the atrocities they committed. And when the captured videos of the concentration camps came out, people really started to see the world saw the atrocities they committed. When the Soviets liberated Auschwitz, Soviet soldiers were crying and they couldn't even bear to look at the atrocities that that Hitler committed, or that the Nazis committed to these people. And honestly, not even all the Nazis soldiers knew all the level to the atrocities they committed. It was only the very top. And when there's a very famous picture of these soldiers seeing the atrocities they committed, and they can't even look at the screen. They're so torn apart. So all these people, a lot of the Nazis were really not to blame. They were completely brainwashed by the system of propaganda, which was so crucial for them to continue to maintain their power. And, we see this today. Even you can relate this to, it's not the extent, they're not exterminating a civilization, but in North Korea, the only thing these people are seeing are what is crafted by the government. So obviously they're going to believe what they see. And it's similar to the films that Goebbels crafted. And these films that he crafted and these books he crafted were in the eyes of the Nazi and what they wanted you to believe. So, of course, these German soldiers are going to follow them blindly. But when they see the true atrocities that were committed and understand that these people were innocent, the world was completely awestruck by how terrible these things were. And these videos today are what keeps us from never again. People are not that many survivors of the Holocaust are there. That's why it's so crucial that they're getting this information out, so that the German counter-propaganda still doesn't affect those who are not fully educated on the topic.